Welcome to part 1 of the EDITTS 10 preview. I'm Michael Horn from EDITTS.net. With me is EDITTS product manager Alex Kataoka, located in Kobe, Japan. Because of these crazy times, he's with us via internet. Alex, Chris Valley has just announced to release EDITTS 10 on September 15th. So you were able to continue to work with these crazy times. 10 also with us. The times are challenging. Alex,
hi Michael.
Chris Valley has just announced to release EDITTS 10 on September 15th.
So we are right on track for the release of EDITTS 10 in September.
Alex, that's great to hear. We plan to use the time until the release in September to have a monthly preview on EDITTS 10. So mid-June, mid-July, mid-August. Today we'll focus on the core of EDITTS 10. Alex, what new features does the new core offer?
Well, it's not about a specific feature, but the real difference will be in the new modular software design. So now the render engine will work completely as a background process now, and the user will not have to wait for EDITTS. And EDITTS will never ask the user to stop when rendering or exporting a file.
So with the background rendering, the user can render, convert, or
and I think
export
this new design and possibilities will be a great benefit for many users.
So
and I think this new design and possibilities will be a great benefit for many users.
So background rendering is available for both versions, right? For Pro and Workgroup.
Yes, both versions will offer the new modular design. And this new modular design will be a backbone for more possibilities in the future, such as network-based rendering.
And are there any new features exclusive for Pro or Workgroup?
In EDITTS 10, we will support project resolutions to 6K up to 8K, but this will only be available in the Workgroup version. But the EDITTS Pro users will now get the draft preview mode, which was only available in the Workgroup version before. Otherwise, the differences between Pro and Workgroup will pretty much remain the same.
Thank you, Alex. We will come back to you at the end of the show. So now I'm sure that you would like to see how the new modular design can help you to improve your work with EDITTS 10. So we asked the EDITTS.net podcast video team to take a look. And here is their video about the new background render service.
EDITTS 10 is designed to unleash your creativity and let you work on, uninterrupted. EDITTS is able to play almost everything in real time. But in a few cases, rendering is needed, for example when you export files. Until now, it wasn't possible to continue editing while EDITTS is rendering. But with EDITTS 10, this will change. A new render service is automatically installed with EDITTS 10. The render engine itself is not visible and operates in the background. You can watch the render service through the GV Job monitor in the Tools menu. While jobs are rendered in the background, you are able to continue editing. Toast notifications pop up briefly to inform you if the render service needs your attention. All notifications are saved in the Windows 10 Action Center and can be reviewed later at any time.
As EDITTS 10 works only on Windows 10, users benefit from a tighter integration and a better performance. This enables also a more efficient rendering and export. But most important, the independent render service allows exporting sequences in the background.
In EDITTS 10, you will find a new area, XRE, in the export dialog. This XRE technology stands for External Render Engine. It allows you to render jobs in the background. Before EDITTS 10, this XRE technology was only available as an option for EDITTS Workgroup. It needed another PC, a server, which rendered the jobs. In EDITTS 10, This function is now integrated into both Pro and Workgroup. There is no need for an additional PC, as the rendering is done in the background on the same PC as EDITTS. But you may still purchase an additional XRE license if you wish to use a separate server for additional render performance in the network. If you have purchased an XRE license, you can choose your external machine as the render server. Otherwise, the rendering will happen in the background on your computer, the local host. You can set priorities for jobs. Jobs with higher priority will be rendered first. If you export more than one file at a time, you can decide which will be rendered first and which will be done later. The rendering jobs registered in the render service are executed according to their priority. You can also use the batch export. Here, you can create a batch export list before starting to output the files. This list can be used continuously. The batch export settings are saved with the project. So it is helpful if you regularly need to export the same areas of a project. For example, every time you update the project, you can reuse the export settings. On the other hand, it is also useful if you want to divide a longer video into individual video clips. You simply set the in and out of the desired clip and type in a file name. The background rendering will continue while you keep working on your project. The rendering status and results can be observed in the GV job monitor.
The background render engine can also be used to convert files. This is a feature which might not be integrated in the first release of EDITTS 10, but will follow as a free update.
Bin file conversions into all kinds of intermedia formats will be possible in EDITTS 10. Those conversions of a single file as well as batch conversions take place in the background. This allows you to convert a large number of files while continuing to work on your project. There are different scenarios where a file conversion makes sense. For example, if you work with RAW files or H.265-based files, converting them to the Grass Valley HQX codec helps to improve the performance on your computer. Or you can bring all footage into the standard file format you usually work with. This is a typical workflow for a TV station which has, for example, XDCAM HD or ProRes as their standard format. When converting, you can not only change the file format or codec, you can even change parameters like resolution, frame rate, aspect ratio, and so on. To start a conversion, right-click on one or multiple files in the bin window and select Convert. Here you have three options: File, File Batch, or AlphaMat. So you can convert a single file, all selected files, or even create file with alpha information. The details of the output format are set in the Export dialog. The created jobs can be watched in the GV job monitor. You can also see the progress of the conversion on the clip thumbnail in the bin. When the job is completed, it changes to an online clip.
If you want to render parts of the timeline or clips on the timeline, the background render engine is also very useful.
If you work on a complex timeline, it might be useful to render parts of it. You can visually identify those parts that will not be able to play back in real time. If you play back the timeline, you will see that the indicator on the ruler control changes from orange to cyan, meaning that the area can be played back in real time. Changing to red indicates that this area cannot be played back in real time. In this case, it is useful to render the section. You can either start a rendering job from the context menu of the ruler controller or from the render menu of the menu bar. In general, there are either loaded, orange and red, or overloaded, only red, areas that can be rendered. You can render these areas either throughout the entire project, a sequence, or between the in and out points on your timeline. When selecting between in and out, you can even render everything, including those parts where rendering is not needed. When the render process is registered as a background job, the indicator will be displayed in pink. It will change to green when the rendering job is done. You can observe the job in the job monitor. If you apply any changes to the part which is being rendered, you will see that the color indicator changes back to orange. At the same time, EDITTS will automatically skip the background rendering job for the changed area. Areas which have not been changed will continue to be rendered. EDITTS is known for its excellent real-time capability. If you use non-real-time third-party plugins, you might want to render anyway. To render individual clips or transitions, you can either start the rendering process by right-clicking on the clip on the timeline, or by choosing Render Selected Clip Transitions from the Render menu in the menu bar. If you apply any changes to the clip which is being rendered, you will see that the color indicator changes back to orange. EDITTS will automatically skip the background rendering job for this clip. The clips remain rendered even if you move them on the timeline.
As you have seen, the background render engine is very versatile, and it also includes the former rendered jobs.
Even in earlier EDITTS versions, waveform cache files and proxy files were rendered in the background. In EDITTS 10, these so-called sidecar files are generated by the new background render engine, just like export, conversions, and render processes. You can create a waveform cache file by opening the clip properties and then choosing Refresh Wave Data. The progress is displayed on the thumbnail in the bin window and can also be observed in the job monitor. Here you can also toggle the priority up or down. Proxy files are created automatically when starting the proxy mode.
Proxy files are encoded in H.264 for a high picture quality at a small file size. H.265 files would even be smaller, but encoding and decoding is very demanding and therefore slow. That's why this file format is not so good supported and still challenging on many systems. EDITTS 10 now offers a broader GPU hardware support to encode H.265. In addition to QuickSync, also NVIDIA cards, which are compatible, can be used to encode H.265.
In earlier EDITTS versions, you could only export H.265 using QuickSync. With EDITTS 10, encoding of H.265 material is now possible with an NVIDIA graphics card. To encode H.265, you need an NVIDIA GPU starting with GTX 1050 or better, RTX 2060 or better, or an equivalent Quadro GPU. The better the GPU, the faster the export and the background rendering.
So GPU hardware acceleration is also available in the background render engine. Gros Valley plans to add even more GPU acceleration within the EDITTS 10 lifecycle to enable the possibility to use the latest PC technology. In general, EDITTS 10 is using advanced hardware and software resources. Therefore, the system requirements are slightly higher than before. EDITTS 10 requires Windows 10 64-bit and a CPU with AVX2 support. That basically means that a PC system older than 8 years is not compatible to EDITTS 10. The current Grass Valley EDIUS 9 Plus promotion allows you to buy EDIUS 9 now and get EDIUS 10 for free. So anyone with an older system can use EDIUS 9 directly and use EDIUS 10 after a PC upgrade. Thank you, Alex, for sharing so many insights into EDIUS 10. The EDIUS.net team and the EDIUS community do appreciate this very much, and I'm sure those last 20 minutes were worth the time.
Thank you, Michael. It's a great pleasure working with the EDIUS community, and it'll be a great joy to deliver EDIUS 10 with its new possibilities.
The EDIUS users are very loyal for many convincing reasons. One area where EDIUS users wanted to see more possibilities was audio. So in part 2 of our preview series, we'll take a look into the new audio features of EDIUS 10. Thank you very much, Alex, and see you again in mid-July. And I hope you liked this EDIUS 10 preview. My team and I are happy to receive your comments and questions, and we hope you'll be with us again next time.
Greg, Grass Valley has so many products. How do you take care of selling EDIUS?
Well, I think that EDIUS is kind of a bit of a core product for Grass Valley. Not only is it obviously the core of our editing solutions, but we're using much of the functionality in EDIUS developed out of our Centre of Excellence in Kobe in our news products, in our playout products, even into our live products these days. So it's not only is it the sort of Swiss Army knife of editing systems, but it's becoming a little bit of a Swiss Army knife of a lot of Grass Valley's broadcast-centric solutions as well.
So who's taking care of reselling the product?
So we have a full network of resellers for EDIUS, and they're really well supported by our EDITTS.net team out of Germany. I think the idea there is that we can reach many more people in the non-broadcast space through the EDITTS.net reseller network than through our traditional broadcast SIs and resellers.
Yeah, there are many different kinds of users. I mean, we have, beside the broadcasters, we have corporations, we have a lot of EDIUS users within the governmental and police areas or for security. Of course, we have a lot of prosumers using EDIUS. We also have